Welcome to Bamberg, an absolutely stunning Franconian gem of a town known for its fantastically preserved architecture, its beautiful rivers and nature, and some of the best beer you'll ever drink. Let's go check it out. So where do we start? Well, frankly, I'm a little bit overwhelmed, and luckily, we are here for 3 days. There's no way I could film a good enough video for you guys in just one. And what makes this trip extra special is that we're actually meeting up with some special guests who we've met a few times before, but never gotten to go on vacation with, and I'll introduce them a little bit later. They are fantastic. But for now, well, we need to get started. Clock's ticking.
It's so pretty.
It really is.
And my favorite color is actually mustard yellow, so I am very into this.
A mustard yellow half timber. I've never seen that before, ever. Now, it's no secret on this channel, we all know I'm a little bit of a curmudgeon. Very rarely do I come to such an Instagrammable spot and, well, agree with it, at least wholeheartedly. But here in Bamberg, on the bridge looking out at the Altes Rathaus, it's pretty remarkable. But this is, of course, where I remind you of my signature catchphrase, don't lose sight of the forest for the trees, because every bridge here, every nook and cranny of Bamberg is beautiful, but this might be the most beautiful spot of them all. And the bridge is completely lined with beautiful flower boxes. This is just, it's almost too saturated with color, if there's such a thing. It's incredible. I genuinely can't tell you which is better, looking at the Rathaus or walking through it. Both are magnificent views. The whole building takes up a space of an entire little island and the river on both sides. It really is as good as they said. And up close and personal, you can really appreciate just the beauty of the fresco muraled walls. They are amazing. Though I think we all know that in my heart of hearts, the little 3D model map they have out on the bridge as well, that's my favorite part of the experience. Though of course I will understand if your favorite part is the photo you take home, the memories that you made along the way. And I'm sure nobody is going to agree with me, but I actually like this bridge a little bit more than that one. I just really can't get enough of all of the water-based infrastructure. I absolutely love it. It reminds me of years ago when we were just outside of Berlin and Spreewald, kayaking around all of the locks. It'd be a lot of fun to kayak around here. Now, this is an incredibly welcome surprise. We all know I'm not much of a shopper on holiday. However, recently I've been getting really into rare books, and this antique bookstore might have exactly what I'm looking for, specifically late 1800s era German travel guides. It's a bit specific. Let's see if we have any luck. Technically, I'm looking for anything by Karl Baedeker. He was kind of the preeminent, the grandfather, if you will, of modern mass tourism. Besides Thomas Cook of England, Karl Baedeker is his German counterpart. Oh, I think I see something. Yes. Süddeutschland. That is an incredible find. Let's see how old it is. Printed in 1888. That is exactly what we're looking for.
But it's in German.
It is not an English translation, it is in German. Naturally, I mean Süddeutschland, not southern Germany. Maybe it's a good reason to practice. It has a massive map of Munich. Oh, look.
The colors.
Beautiful.
Are you gonna get it?
I mean, for 25 euros, an 1888 Karl Baedeker guide to southern Germany. Yeah, we're gonna get it. Let's go buy it. I need to go get a coffee, and I could spend all day in here. And frankly, we need to leave before I find something else I want to buy. I would call that mission absolutely accomplished. This book is magnificent. I cannot believe they had it. When you're coming here to Bamberg, and if you like old books, that store is exceptional. And on a beautiful day like today, with the wind wafting the smell of fresh produce through the air, I can't think of a better place to stroll than the Bamberg Farmers Market. They have everything here. But what captivates me the most, of course, is the history of this market. It has roots dating back to the 11th century, and considering it's running almost every day of the week, except for Sunday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., when you find yourself in Bamberg, you should come here and get a snack. And as we walk by yet another bronze sculpture 3D map of Bamberg, well, I'm feeling a little inspired by the logistics. And I haven't told you how I got here, which was incredibly easy. Simply 2 trains from the Munich Hauptbahnhof, 1 to Nuremberg, and then 1 here to Bamberg. So there's no real reason to use a car to get here. The public transit is fantastic as always. Next up, we're going to be doing something a little bit different, something I haven't seen on any modern travel itinerary. No TripAdvisor and no other YouTube channels have covered it, at least not to my knowledge. And that's to leave Bamberg behind and go up into the public footpaths for a 40-minute hike to the Altenburg Gasthaus and restaurant. It should be a beer garden fortified in a castle, and it sounds incredible. So far, well, I think you can imagine, I'm pretty happy. The views are beautiful. It's a stunning public footpath, that's for sure.
Okay, so we are only about 2.5 kilometers outside of Bamberg city center, and I cannot believe how rural it's gotten. It's really gorgeous. We are just surrounded by beautiful rolling wheat fields. And this little walk actually reminds me of the first time Ben and I went to England together. We spent a lot of time roaming through the English countryside on all of the beautiful public footpaths, and this just looks so much like them. It's really nice. It's really nice reminiscing. Oh, but I think there's some elevation coming up.
That looks incredible. Can you see that through the tree?
Oh, yeah.
What a sight.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Entering the forested section, it looks like no reward comes without effort. There's a lot of stairs. I hope it's going to be worth it. This is so cool. You pop out of the forest right underneath the fortified wall, and you all know how much I love walking underneath a fortified wall, and it looks like the only way into the beer garden, that's gonna be across the drawbridge. I don't think I've ever crossed one that impressive before, at least not for a beer. Welcome to Altenburg, perhaps the most heavily fortified beer garden I have ever seen. When was the last time you needed to cross a drawbridge to get a drink? That being said, I am pretty thirsty, so before we go inside, before we walk the ramparts and climb the tower, let's get a drink. Do you want a full liter or do you want just half?
Halb.
Half.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's very hot and we have to walk back.
Yeah, it is. Servus. Can I bitte ein halb helles und ein halb Radler haben? This is one of the most beautiful beer gardens I think we've ever been to. And I know I say that a lot. I go to a lot of beautiful beer gardens.
I don't know, the mountains are pretty small here.
the hills. Small.
Okay, these are small.
Prost. Now, of course, Bamberg is famous for its smoky beer, but here it is a hot day at the moment. I am still trying to calm down after the elevation we just crushed. I went with a Helles, a good old classic.
What brand?
I don't even know.
Is it Altenburg?
No, it's not their own.
Okay.
I've no idea whose it is. Oh, it is good though, especially on a hot day like this. Cheers. Okay, now that I've finished my beer, let's actually explore this castle. And I have to say, it is stunning. Just looking at the glasswork behind me and all of that ivy, it's beautiful. I mean, I can't imagine anything better. They have peregrine falcons nesting in their tower. Tower falcons. What do you think though?
It's really cool. I really like this well.
The well is awesome. How about the view?
That's good too. This is kind of one of the best beer gardens I've been to.
You also agree?
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, I thought maybe we'd disagree on this one, but I thought it was amazing.
Okay, so my heart wants to be mad that the best beer garden I've been to isn't in Oberbayern, but I can no longer deny it.
I mean, all of the views combined. You need to come out here. And anybody who remembers how excited I was in Rothenburg knows how happy I feel right now. We're walking the ramparts. To be under the fully restored wooden roof, looking out over Franconia with a cannon, I can't think of anything better to be doing right now. I'm so happy to be here with you. Not gonna lie though, I am really jealous of those kids practicing archery. Though maybe this is my sign to join the artillery. It's such a lame joke. It's not even a joke. Because I would. Okay, no more putting it off. I've had a little bit of liquid courage, so €1 entrance fee. Let's climb some stairs and let's get that real view. Nothing like a spiral staircase after a pier. Is the room spinning or is it just me? No, there's so many more. Oh, it really looked like that was the last one. Oh, it's so spooky. This place has been empty compared to how busy Bamberg was, and honestly, I think they're all missing out. But now you won't because you're in the know. But now we've completed everything there is to do. I think we need to get back into Bamberg and I will save you the hike back down. Instead, how about we arrive right about now? To Brauerei Spezial, as it's time to cap off this busy and amazing day with proper traditional Franconian food and the illustrious smoked beer of Bamberg. A beer unlike anything else, at least anymore, as it's now considered a speciality. But 200 years ago, this was simply the way most German beer tasted, with its wood fire-dried malt, a technology that has since been replaced everywhere else but here in Bamberg. The flavors are actually incredibly subtle. This isn't a smoke-forward beer, with the campfire notes taking center stage, but instead merely part of the whole itself. Tasting such history in an equally historic brewhouse, dated back to 1536 no less, was wonderful. To come to Bamberg and not dare a sip or two of what makes this town so unique would be to truly miss out. However, I have some good news and bad news. During my 3-day weekend here in Bamberg, I managed to hit up so many amazing breweries and beer gardens, but we've also been joined on this adventure with our friends and fellow YouTubers Mike and Becca from My Travel BF, which made exploring so much more fun. But now the bad news. We dove so deep together and had such a wonderful self-guided food and beer tour that there is no way I can contain it all in just this one video. So hit that subscribe button right away, because next week we will be releasing our full detailed Bamberg beer and food tour, and you wouldn't want to miss that. But now there's still so much more to see in this beautiful town. Onward to day 2. Welcome to the Bamberger Cathedral, and what a beauty on a day like today with the good sunshine and amazing blue sky. That is a sight to behold. But if you are familiar with the channel, then you know me. You know I've been into plenty of opulent Bavarian cathedrals, and I'm short on time today. So this is where I remind you, travel with your hobbies, never feel like you actually have to do something just to tick it off a fear of missing out list. Instead, I think walking around it will be plenty for me, and I'm gonna move on. and I think you should do whatever works for you. There are, however, a lot of beautiful sights in this area, so let's walk around it and really enjoy basking in its ambiance. There is, however, one bucket list item for me here in the Domplatz, and that's in this building right here. Let me show you. A free and popular suggestion for what to do when you're around the cathedral is, of course, head to the Rosen Garten, the Rose Garden. We're not the only ones to have had that idea, but I tell you what, I can see why. It is beautiful in here. Though more than just merely beautiful flowers, there's also a little bit of a special and sentimental reason as to why me and Camille have come to the Rosen Garten today.
So for those of you really familiar with our channel, you'll know that I actually have a German Oma. When I was 11, back in like 2002, 2003, I actually went on a big family vacation with my Oma and Opa and my cousins and my aunts and uncles, and it was super fun. This rose garden is actually kind of sentimental to me because we actually came and visited Bamberg and came up to this rose garden, and I have all these fun pictures of my family and I posing, smelling the roses, enjoying ourselves. I was going through the photos last week and saw this photo of my Oma and Opa standing in front of the roses, so I thought it would be really fun for Ben and I to recreate it. So our friends helped pose us, help angle the picture correctly, and here's how it came out. I think it looks pretty good.
It's also worth pointing out that the view of Bamberg itself from up here is also quite fantastic. No matter where you look, there is beauty on every angle. I mean, I'm looking at you guys, I'm looking at the camera, I'm looking at roses, and you guys are looking at the city. And what could you ask for? All right, I think that's gonna have to do it for our time in the garden, but there's a little bit more to do around the cathedral. Specifically, I wanna go take a look at the History Museum. That building looks awesome. It's also worth nipping in just around the other side of the cathedral. There is the History Museum, and its interior courtyard full of half-timbered buildings and plenty of plant pots is absolutely beautiful. Though today it's being used as a theatre production. It does get in the way of the view, at least for me. Still beautiful though. I'd love to spend a whole lot more time in that History Museum, actually buy a ticket and see the collection, but I wouldn't like that more than the Beer Museum, and I think we only have time for one today. I think you know where I'm going next. Housed in a historic brew house within the Michelsberg Monastery complex, this is quite the location, not to mention the stunning views of the town below. Now, this museum offers a fascinating journey into the rich brewing heritage of Franconia, with an extensive collection of brewing artifacts, including traditional brewing equipment, historical beer bottles and bottlers, artful coasters, and the carts to carry them. Admittedly, the experience is a little light on info, so this shouldn't be your first beer museum, but for those of you who are already familiar with the broad strokes, then you'll appreciate the collection's depth. The importance of brewing in Europe, Germany, Franconia, and especially Bamberg itself cannot be understated, with this tiny town boasting 9 breweries, 3 more than Munich. But when we zoom out just a little, that number skyrockets to 250 individual breweries, most dating back several, if not many hundreds of years. And often, they're still family owned. Beer in Bamberg truly is something special. And so we find ourselves at a major Bamberg attraction, if you will, the Little Venice. And though it is incredibly beautiful, it is along a canal. If you don't mind me being just a little bit of a curmudgeon, beauty and canal alone do not a Venice make. They wouldn't have used half timber like this, that's for sure. The Venetians were far too wealthy. It is, however, an absolute pleasure to stroll along. Taking one of those boats would be really nice, and if you manage to book one early, which I could not, they will take you in a gondola so you can pretend you're in Venice. A Middle Ages Venice, if you will. Oh, I didn't do it. Alright, so just... Let's see how it tastes, but first, how does it smell? Naturally, like a campfire. Maybe I'm getting more used to it, but it's great, but It is so strange. Let's go for it. I mean, it's a common theme, right? This is a bit more malty. It's not quite so bitter. It's got a heavier body than the ones that we've been having. It's a bit more stout-like. And in many ways, that masks the smokiness until after you've swallowed. And then all of a sudden, right through your nasal passages. And just like that, you're back outside in the woods at a campfire.
How does it compare to the other beers?
I mean, it's all about personal taste, right? This is genuinely, I mean, all of the beer here in Bamberg is fantastic. I think I preferred the very first one that we went to, Spezial, because its body was a little bit lighter, it was a little bit more crisp. I'm not a huge stout man myself. So if you're a fan of those heavier, darker beers, this is the one that you're gonna need to have. And I'll definitely finish it. Cheers. So for my main course, I went with the Bamberger Spezial, which is an onion stuffed with ground minced pork, a bunch of spices. It's in a Rauchbier gravy and a bit of bacon on top. And frankly, I'm not gonna lie to you, I've already had a bit. I couldn't help myself, and it is really delicious. But for your sake, I'll eat it on camera. It's so good. It's not the most appetizing thing I've ever looked at. It looks a bit weird, but my word, this is probably one of the best meals I've had in at least a month. So when you are in Bamberg, which you will be, I really have to recommend it. And it pairs so well with the smoky beer. I mean, smoky gravy, smoky beer, all this pork, all of the bacon is brilliant.
Did you just curse every viewer who watches this to come to Bamberg, no matter what?
Do you not like Bamberg?
You will be in Bamberg.
You will be. Right, but now leave me in peace. I want to eat. I loved that. But I also loved it so much that I went and got one more beer. Here, they do a smoked Weissbier, which I hadn't even remotely heard of, and you can tell from the way that it looks, it is a completely different beer than what we had earlier, different glass. Let's see how it compares. The aromatics are not quite as smoky. I don't know if I'm just numb to it now, but it smells like a normal Weissbier. It just tastes like a really good Weissbier. I can't pick up the smoke on it at all, quite frankly. Maybe I am numb. The fruity notes of a Weissbier are here in full display. This is perhaps the most banana-y Weissbier I've ever had, which I wasn't expecting at all. I'm gonna need to drink a bit more. It is super drinkable. I'm really glad I got it. It is nothing like the other Rauch beers that we've been having, mostly in the way that I don't think it's that smoky. There is, however, a bit more depth and complexity to the Weissbier notes, which is already a much more complex beer than the others. So, yeah, it is really good. It's a bit of an interesting beer to end the night on, though. Glad I did. I think now what I'd really like to do, and I'm sure you agree, is leave the town behind once more and go along the canals. It's famous for waterways. How about we walk them? There's no way you're gonna be able to really see and appreciate what's behind me, but this section of the canal has been turned into a fish bypass, which I think is so adorable. We found a family of swans, and they've got 3 cygnets. Oh my God. They look so cute. That is not a bad place to have a swan house, huh? I don't really know if I've mentioned it very much, but I will now. By trade, I am a software engineer, but by passion, civil waterway engineering, that's my favorite. And now that's where I really want to go. There's a lock. And of course, the best part about walking along a historic canal is the historic locks you'll find along the way. For those who aren't in the know, a lock is what you use to take a canal boat from a high river to a low river. It's a boat elevator, if you will. So, look at the waterline. That is proper far down. Whereas just this door alone is keeping it this high up. Now, unfortunately, you can't open the floodgates or move the windows and doors at the moment. It's all seized and padlocked. You're not supposed to flood downstream anymore. I do have a bit of a soft spot for this type of water-based infrastructure. In the Midlands, where I grew up in England, there are lots of canals that were used for the coal industry, just moving coal up and around Britain. I mean, England has an amazing canal system. And so I loved being with my grandparents, running across the old locks in the parks and all that. And I don't know, there's just something about them that brings back joy and nostalgia. And even though we couldn't get a ticket for one of the gondola rides, you know I'm not coming all the way to Bamberg along these glorious canals and not riding a boat. I missed this one. I'm gonna have to wait for it to come back, but we're gonna take the ferry across the river. It'll cost about €1 to ride, and I'm probably gonna go there and back again. €2 for me. Not gonna lie, I'm pretty thrilled. I don't think you need me to tell you that that was fantastic. Let's go to a beer garden. And I have never seen one of these before. It looks like an overgrown Royal Mail mailbox, but it's actually this part of the village's old well, and it's awesome. Unfortunately, the hand pump doesn't work anymore. Perhaps it's ran dry, but it's adorned with beautiful flowers like everything in Bamberg. So it's lovely. The motorcycle's not bad either. I used to ride a Kawasaki, though not one quite that fast. This was an amazing recommendation by the ferry woman. The Wilde Rose is a true classic beer garden. In fact, this place reminds me an awful lot of my favorite beer garden back in Munich at Max Weberplatz, the Hofbräukeller. Nothing quite beats the vibes, you know, of just a calm, peaceful, beautiful, sunny and tree-lined day at a beer garden.
I also really love the stage.
Yeah.
Very unique. I haven't seen anything like that in Germany.
And also, the Steinkrug here is incredibly pretty. I love their logo, I love the green. It's gonna be difficult to give the font back on this one because I really wanna keep it. But now, the beer is cold, the day is hot. Let's have a drink. This is fantastic. I think I might spend a little while here, so I would definitely recommend it. It's not gonna be up on any tourist hotspot or anything like that. This feels like a proper locals joint. So if you wanna enjoy an authentic German beer garden relaxed experience, come here, have a beer. Prost. While I stand here and wait for it to come back to go across, why don't I tell you some of my favorite Bamberg Canal facts? Because there's actually far more than just meets the eye, right? Bamberg and its growth and its prosperity is the culmination, the realization of a millennia-long dream to connect the Main River with the Danube River and finally be able to go from the Atlantic to the Black Sea, cutting entirely across Central Europe. Back in 791, Charlemagne himself thought it would be a great idea, that it would bring him riches and prosperity, but he didn't have enough upfront riches to cover the cost and make it happen. So it wasn't until the early 1800s when King Ludwig I finally made the dream come true. I actually wouldn't know any of that. I wouldn't have looked it up if it wasn't for the Karl Baedeker, because coming out in about 1888, the canal had only been around for 25 years and he wrote all about it. They were passing 6,000 to 8,000 barges per day, which is incredible. And well, makes a whole lot of sense why Bamberg is so beautiful and so wealthy and so idyllic. So I think this will about do it for our first video in Bamberg. We're here for a full 3-day weekend and I've got plenty more to show you. So if you've enjoyed it, if you've gotten this far, go ahead, subscribe right now, hit the bell, and I will see you in the next video in about a week's time where we cover all of Bamberg's food and drink. See you next time.